Okay, let's explore the chilling world of interactive horror. I've compiled a list of 10 games that, in my experience, truly excel at delivering fear. We're about to dive into the most profoundly unsettling and terrifying gaming experiences available. Maid of Sker, crafted by Wales Interactive, plunges players into a first-person survival horror experience set in a hauntingly remote Welsh hotel back in 1898. You step into the shoes of Thomas Evans, a musician on a desperate quest to rescue his beloved Elizabeth from a chilling family curse. What sets this game apart is its innovative sound-based stealth mechanics, where you must navigate around the quiet ones, blind yet incredibly perceptive foes, by managing your movements and cleverly using sound distractions. The atmosphere is thick with dread, drawing inspiration from Welsh folklore and eerie hymns. The hotel itself feels alive, with its creaking floorboards and unsettling vibe amplifying your sense of isolation and vulnerability. As you piece together the narrative through notes and environmental clues, a disturbing tale of religious fanaticism and dark rituals unfolds. Personally, I found Maid of Sker to be a genuinely creepy and immersive horror experience. The sound-based stealth mechanics create a unique and tense gameplay loop, making you think twice about every step you take. The setting, rich in Welsh folklore, adds a fascinating layer of cultural depth and historical context that really enhances the overall vibe. I love how the game builds tension through its sound design and environmental storytelling, steering clear of cheap jump scares. The quiet ones are truly terrifying, and their sensitivity to sound keeps you on edge. The oppressive atmosphere of the hotel, combined with the unsettling narrative, makes for a memorable and chilling experience. It's a beautifully crafted, yet underrated horror gem. Until Dawn, crafted by Supermassive Games, offers a thrilling cinematic horror experience that masterfully combines interactive drama with classic slasher film elements. Players take on the roles of 8 teenagers who find themselves trapped in a secluded mountain cabin, facing a night filled with terror from a mysterious and deadly force. The game features a branching narrative shaped by player choices, giving a real sense of agency and consequence, where every decision can lead to life-or-death scenarios. The butterfly effect system highlights how interconnected these choices are, resulting in various possible outcomes and character destinies. With its quick-time events, exploration, and investigation, the game enhances the interactive experience, while the eerie atmosphere and well-crafted characters weave a gripping and suspenseful story. Personally, I found Until Dawn to be an incredibly entertaining and immersive horror adventure. Its cinematic style and branching storyline make it feel like you're part of an interactive movie, and the butterfly effect system adds a fun layer of replayability and strategic thinking. The way the game builds genuine tension and suspense is impressive, and the character development is surprisingly deep, making you truly care about their survival. I love how it mixes slasher film tropes with psychological horror, and the plot twists are executed brilliantly. While some players might find the quick-time events a bit annoying at times, they really enhance the cinematic experience and ramp up the urgency. The game does a fantastic job of making you care about the characters and then putting you on the edge of your seat as you worry for their lives.
What?
Little Nightmares, crafted by Tarsius Studios, is a spine-chilling puzzle platformer that pulls players into a bizarre and eerie world. You take on the role of Six, a tiny child in a raincoat, as you navigate the Maw, a strange vessel filled with grotesque, oversized creatures. What really sets this game apart is its atmospheric storytelling, which leans heavily on visual elements and the design of the environment to evoke feelings of vulnerability and dread. The exaggerated sizes of both the surroundings and its inhabitants highlight just how small Six is, intensifying that sense of helplessness. With its minimalist narrative style, unsettling soundscapes, and haunting visuals, the game delivers an immersive and truly disturbing experience. Personally, I found Little Nightmares to be both captivating and unsettling. Its distinctive art style and atmospheric design create a world that sticks with you long after you've played. The constant sense of dread, fueled by the grotesque creatures and the feeling of vulnerability, is palpable. The way the game tells its story through visual cues and environmental design is incredibly effective, allowing players to interpret the narrative in their own unique way. I really appreciate how the game prioritizes atmosphere and tension over cheap jump scares. The sound design is top-notch, adding significantly to the overall sense of unease. The clever use of scale to make players feel small and powerless is a brilliant example of environmental storytelling at its finest. Layers of Fear, crafted by the talented folks at Bloober Team, is a psychological horror game that takes a deep dive into the troubled mind of a painter haunted by his own demons. As players explore a Victorian-era mansion, they encounter a space that reflects the protagonist's crumbling mental state while he strives to finish his so-called masterpiece. The game truly shines in its ability to create a disorienting and eerie atmosphere, thanks to its ever-changing environments, surreal visuals, and haunting sound design. Instead of relying heavily on jump scares, it focuses on psychological horror, which heightens the already intense feeling of dread. The story unfolds through environmental cues, cryptic notes, and unsettling visions, slowly peeling back the layers of the painter's tragic history and the dark forces that engulf him. The game's strong emphasis on atmosphere and psychological manipulation results in an experience that is both immersive and deeply disturbing. Personally, I found Layers of Fear to be an enthralling and profoundly unsettling psychological horror game. Its knack for instilling a sense of unease and dread through its constantly shifting settings and surreal imagery is nothing short of impressive. The way it tackles themes of mental illness and artistic obsession is both chilling and thought-provoking. I really appreciated that the game opts for psychological horror over cheap jump scares, which allows for a more sustained and impactful sense of terror. The gradual unfolding of the narrative, combined with the mansion's shifting nature around the player, creates a truly immersive and unsettling experience. While the gameplay may be somewhat linear, the rich atmosphere, compelling narrative, and psychological depth make it a memorable and haunting journey. DARKWOOD, crafted by Acid Wizard Studio, is a top-down survival horror game that brilliantly combines crafting, exploration, and psychological tension. Set against the backdrop of a procedurally generated, haunting forest in 1980s Poland, players must navigate the challenges of each day and night, scavenging for resources and reinforcing their shelter against the terrors that come alive after dark. What sets Darkwood apart from many other horror games is its avoidance of jump scares. Instead, it cultivates a deep sense of unease through its heavy atmosphere, eerie sound design, and enigmatic storyline. The permadeath feature and tough gameplay instill a real sense of vulnerability, compelling players to manage their resources wisely and make tough decisions. The day-night cycle starkly contrasts, with the daytime offering a deceptive sense of safety while the night transforms into a harrowing experience. Personally, I think Darkwood stands out as a truly unique and profoundly unsettling horror experience. Its gradual approach to horror, which emphasizes atmosphere and tension over cheap thrills, is incredibly effective. The oppressive ambience, paired with challenging gameplay and a cryptic narrative, creates a lingering sense of dread that stays with you long after you've played. The permadeath mechanic injects an extra layer of tension, making every choice feel significant. I really appreciate how the game prioritizes exploration and survival, pushing players to understand the forest's rules and adapt to its constantly shifting threats. The sound design deserves special mention, as it crafts an atmosphere of unease that fills every moment of gameplay. Plus, the art style is beautifully executed, enhancing the overall feeling of being isolated and lost in a perilous environment. Alien Isolation, crafted by Creative Assembly, brilliantly captures the nail-biting and chilling vibe of Ridley Scott's iconic Alien film. In this game, you step into the shoes of Amanda Ripley, the daughter of Ellen Ripley, as she embarks on a quest to find her missing mother aboard the Sevastopol space station. What sets this game apart is its focus on a single, relentless alien, which keeps you on edge and feeling vulnerable throughout your journey. Unlike other action-packed Alien games, Isolation leans heavily into stealth, evasion, and resource management. The alien's unpredictable AI and sharp senses make it a truly formidable foe, pushing players to think on their feet and use their surroundings to survive. The crumbling Sevastopol station almost feels like a character in its own right, with its tight corridors and faulty systems heightening the sense of isolation and dread. In my opinion, Alien Isolation is a remarkable triumph in the survival horror genre. It's a masterclass in building suspense and delivering a genuinely terrifying experience. The game's commitment to recreating the atmosphere of the original film is nothing short of impressive, and the alien's AI keeps you guessing, making every encounter feel both unpredictable and frightening. You really feel like you're being hunted by an unstoppable force. The sound design is top-notch, with every creak, hiss, and distant noise contributing to the overall sense of unease. While some might argue about the game's length, the relentless intensity and the quality of the horror experience make it an unforgettable and spine-chilling adventure. Outlast, developed by Red Barrels, plunges players into the terrifying confines of Mount Massive Asylum, a psychiatric hospital overrun by violent and deranged inmates. As investigative journalist Miles Upshur, players are armed only with a camcorder, forcing them to rely on stealth and evasion to survive the horrors within. The game's found footage aesthetic, combined with its relentless pacing and disturbing imagery, creates a visceral and terrifying experience. The complete lack of combat capabilities heightens the sense of vulnerability, making every encounter a heart-pounding struggle for survival. The asylum itself, with its dark corridors and grotesque inhabitants, becomes a character in its own right, a nightmarish labyrinth that tests the player's sanity. I have to say, Outlast really delivers a chilling and immersive horror experience. The way it plays on vulnerability and keeps you on edge with a constant fear of being hunted creates an unyielding sense of dread. The atmosphere is spot on, and the found footage style adds a touch of realism that cranks up the terror. Sure, some people might think there are too many jump scares, but they actually fit well within the game's vibe, making for an experience filled with intense, lingering fear. I really admire how it pushes players to face their fears directly, stripping away any sense of control and leaving them completely at the mercy of the horrors lurking in Mount Massive. Plus, the sound design is top-notch, really enhancing that suffocating atmosphere and the feeling of always being in danger. Silent Hill 2, developed by Team Silent, is a psychological horror masterpiece that transcends typical genre conventions. It tells the haunting story of James Sunderland, who travels to the desolate town of Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his deceased wife, Mary. The game masterfully blends disturbing imagery, unsettling sound design, and a deeply introspective narrative to create a profoundly unsettling experience. Unlike many horror games, Silent Hill 2 focuses on psychological torment rather than jump scares, delving into themes of guilt, grief, and repressed desires. The town of Silent Hill itself becomes a manifestation of James's inner turmoil, with its fog-laden streets and grotesque creatures reflecting his darkest fears and regrets. The game's iconic monsters, particularly Pyramid Head, serve as powerful symbols of James's guilt and self-punishment. Personally, I consider Silent Hill 2 to be a landmark achievement in interactive storytelling and horror. Its ability to create a sense of unease and dread through atmosphere and psychological manipulation is unparalleled. The game's narrative, which explores the complexities of human emotion and the dark recesses of the human psyche, is both disturbing and deeply moving. The game's ability to make the player feel James's confusion, guilt, and despair is a testament to its brilliant storytelling. I admire how it uses the town of Silent Hill as a metaphor for James's inner turmoil, creating a truly immersive and unsettling experience. The sound design, particularly Akira Yamaoka's haunting score, is integral to the game's atmosphere, amplifying the sense of isolation and dread. It's a game that stays with you long after you finish playing, prompting reflection on the nature of guilt, grief, and the human condition. Soma, another masterpiece from Frictional Games, shifts the horror from gothic castles to the depths of the ocean, exploring existential themes through a chilling sci-fi narrative. Players assume the role of Simon Jarrett, a man who undergoes a brain scan in 2015 and inexplicably awakens in a decaying underwater research facility, Pathos 2, in 2104. The game masterfully blends psychological horror with philosophical questions about consciousness, identity, and what it means to be human. The unsettling atmosphere, created by the claustrophobic environments and the constant threat of malfunctioning robots and mutated creatures, is amplified by the game's focus on narrative and exploration. Rather than relying on jump scares, Soma delves into the unsettling implications of its world, forcing players to confront disturbing truths about the nature of existence. Personally, I found Soma to be a profoundly thought-provoking and emotionally impactful experience. It's a game that stays with you long after the credits roll, prompting introspection on the very essence of self. The way it weaves philosophical questions into a terrifying narrative is truly remarkable. The game's ability to create a sense of isolation and dread while simultaneously exploring complex themes is a testament to Frictional Games' storytelling prowess. The unsettling implications of the game's plot, particularly the questions surrounding consciousness transfer and the survival of humanity, create a deeply unsettling and memorable experience. I appreciate how it prioritizes narrative and atmosphere over cheap scares, creating a horror experience that is both intellectually stimulating and emotionally resonant. Amnesia, The Dark Descent, released in 2010 by Frictional Games, is more than just a horror game. It's a meticulously crafted exercise in psychological terror. It transcends the typical jump scare formula, instead focusing on creating a pervasive atmosphere of dread and vulnerability. Players step into the role of Daniel, a man who awakens within the foreboding walls of Castle, his memory stripped away, leaving him adrift in a labyrinth of unsettling corridors and horrifying secrets. The game's core mechanic, the absence of combat, forces players to confront their fears directly. Instead of empowering them with weapons, it strips them bare, leaving them to rely on stealth, evasion, and their own dwindling sanity. This design choice elevates the game beyond simple monster encounters, turning it into a harrowing struggle for survival against both physical and mental threats. The sanity system is a stroke of genius, transforming darkness and the sight of grotesque creatures into tangible threats to Daniel's well-being. The blurring vision, the unsettling whispers, and the eventual descent into madness create a sense of constant unease, blurring the lines between the game's reality and Daniel's deteriorating perception. The narrative, pieced together through scattered notes and chilling flashbacks, unfolds like a dark tapestry, revealing a history of disturbing experiments and a descent into madness that mirrors Daniel's own. The sound design is equally masterful, utilizing ambient noises, unsettling whispers, and the grotesque sounds of unseen creatures to amplify the sense of isolation and dread. The game's deliberate pacing, combined with its oppressive atmosphere, allows the horror to seep into the player's psyche, creating a lasting sense of unease. Personally, I consider The Dark Descent a masterpiece of horror gaming. It masterfully utilizes psychological terror, focusing on building dread and unease rather than relying on cheap jump scares. The feeling of helplessness, combined with the oppressive atmosphere and disturbing sound design, creates a truly terrifying experience. The way that the game makes the player fear the darkness itself is a very well-implemented game mechanic. The game's impact on the horror genre is undeniable, and its influence can be seen in many subsequent horror games.
What happened? Why are all these dead